Whoa, hey guys, Captain Ty's Movie Night Round 2. So if you guys didn't know, this is a new segment on my channel that I started a few weeks ago. It's basically where I just watch movies I've never seen before and record my thoughts on them, which I guess is just what I do with my other movie reviews, but these are like older movies. Last month I started it out with The Crow, the Brandon Lee movie. I really liked doing that. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. These aren't like full in-depth reviews. This is just like, I wanted to watch this movie, I watched it, boom, camera. What did I think about it? So with this next video, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. What kind of accent was that? That wasn't Italian. Anyways, the movie we're going to be watching is The Godfather Part II. Kind of weird that I'm doing a video on Godfather Part 2 and not Part 1, but I've already seen Part 1. If you guys want to know my thoughts on Part 1, I thought it was going to be one of those movies, you know, like some older movies, like for instance, Fantasia's kind of like this for me. It's where you appreciate the movie more than you actually enjoy the movie. Like with Fantasia, for example, I'm like, yeah, looks great, the visuals are awesome, I can definitely see it, you know, the creativity Walt Disney put into this. That being said, it's kind of slow and boring and not really my cup of tea. I thought the first Godfather was going to be like that. I actually really dug the first Godfather movie. To me, it's not like Star Wars, like it's not one that I would rewatch often, but I am glad I saw it. So enter Godfather Part 2. People say this is just like one of the best sequels of all time. So yeah, I got high hopes going into this one. I don't really know what to expect. I know it's the whole flash forward, flash back thing. And this isn't going to be the average Captain Ty's Movie Night episode because I'm actually not watching this movie at my house even though I'm holding it up. They're doing a double feature at my local theater of Godfather Part 1 and 2. So I'm about to go to that right now. Actually, Godfather 1's playing right about now. I didn't go to Godfather Part 1 because I literally watched Godfather Part 1 like near the end of August, early September. So I didn't feel the need to rewatch it, but I am going for Godfather Part 2. So I'm getting to see this movie in theaters. I think that's pretty cool. I'm pumped for it. And just like The Crow, if you guys haven't seen Godfather Part 2, feel free to pop it in, watch it with me, and then maybe like write down in the comments what you thought of it. But without further ado, The Godfather Part II.
The Godfather Part II is the final chapter in the violent history of the Corleone crime family.
Holy crap, guys, that was a movie! Whoa! Yeah, so obviously I didn't watch this at home, but I still have it, so the background, Godfather. It's Michael in his house, yeah, at the end. No spoilers, but Michael at the end of the movie. Now, obviously, I was expecting a good movie. It's The Godfather Part II. People say it's like one of the greatest sequels of all time, and I could probably put it up there. It's a really good movie. Is it better than the first Godfather? I don't know right now. Right now, they're pretty equal for me. I might give the leg up to the first Godfather just a tad. But going back to The Godfather Part II, I mean, this movie is really cool. I really like the parallel stories, and, you know, a lot of you guys already know this, but the movie is basically two stories in one. Makes sense because the movie's about 200 minutes. It's crazy. That's another thing. Make sure you guys pee before you watch this thing because you're gonna be holding it for a while. So part of the movie is a sequel to The Godfather. It's Michael in like the late 50s, I believe. The first movie ended in about 55, so this is like 1958, 59-ish. But Michael's getting further into the Corleone business. He's partnering with this guy that Vito used to deal with. And because this happens pretty early on in the movie, I don't think this is a spoiler, but there's an assassination attempt on Michael's life. So for most of the movie, he's trying to figure out like who caused that. Was it Hyman Roth, who's the guy that he's dealing with that Vito used to deal with? This hotel tycoon, and Michael's trying to buy a couple of his hotels. Then the other part of the story is a prequel to The Godfather. This is set in like the 1920s and 30s primarily, and it's about young Vito. It's about Vito and his rise as the Godfather. And again, I'm going to talk about this movie like a little more in depth, like as far as characters and actors, because I feel like a lot of people know about the Godfather series. So obviously Robert De Niro plays young Vito in this movie, and going into it, I was like, this is going to be kind of interesting because it's young Robert De Niro, like one of his first roles, I think. And I was kind of expecting the whole De Niro thing, you know, the whole I'm watching you, I am watching you. You're back in the circle of trust. Yep, circle of trust. Although just like a younger version of it. In his first couple scenes, I was like, oh, it's definitely a young Robert De Niro. But when the movie started going, I was like, that's not Robert De Niro. That's young Vito Corleone. That's not even young Marlon Brando. That's young Vito. So I thought he just completely melded into his character. One thing I was curious about, and this is kind of a spoiler, so earmuffs on if you haven't seen The Godfather Part 2, or if you don't care, then hey, just keep listening, I guess, is when he goes back to Sicily and he's going to murder the Don that killed his whole family. Like, the Don asks him, and the Don's all old, and he's in a chair, he's like, he looks like a potato, but he asks him, like, who was your father? And Robert De Niro, Vito, he tells him, like, Antonio Andolini. Then the Don's like, come closer, I can't hear you. So then Vito goes in and he's like, it's Antonio Andolini, and this is for you, and he just guts him. I thought that happened a little quickly. I would have liked a little bit of, like, shock revelation, because the guy wasn't very well guarded. I mean, he had guys, like, on the balcony that were doing security, but as far as, like, a guard standing right next to Vito, he didn't have that. So I think it would have been kind of cool if Vito waited a second. He was like, Antonio Andolini. And then the Don was like, who the, oh, and that's when Vito gutted him. I don't know if I was directing it. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to direct this thing like Coppola directed it. But if I could tweak one thing in this movie, I would have tweaked that. Still a great scene. I mean, awesome scene, cool revenge scene, but I just thought that would have been cooler. Going back to the present day story, I really liked seeing Michael's whole decline into villainry. And one dude I gotta give my hat off to was the guy that plays Fredo. What's his name? Apparently Captain Ty's movie night is where I just Google everything on my phone. John Cazale, I knew that name. So for the first Godfather movie and a lot of this movie, I was looking at Fredo and I was like, you know, he's fine. I don't hate him being there, but he just makes a lot of stupid decisions and I don't know why they keep him around. Obviously they have that whole family element and, you know, family is a big thing with the Godfather, but still he makes some careless mistakes in the first movie and this one, so I'm like, why don't they just dump him? But in this movie, Cazale as Fredo, he has some really cool scenes, some really emotional scenes too. And if you guys know the ending of the movie, you know the whole resolution with him and Michael, but I just found Fredo's character to shine a lot more in this movie than he did in the first Godfather. Overall, I mean, I could go on and on about this movie. Is it a movie that I'm gonna rewatch? Probably not. At least not in the near future anyways, because this thing is as long as Titanic. It's just such an investment to watch. And where Titanic I can kind of have on in the background, this one's like you gotta be locked in and focused on what you're seeing. So is it one of my favorite movies of all time? No. Is it something I'm gonna rewatch in the near future? Probably not. However, this was an awesome movie. I can definitely see why people love it. Whereas the first Godfather was one that like I thought I was going to respect more than I actually liked. This is kind of what I was thinking that first Godfather movie was going to be like. I still really liked it. It just doesn't have that rewatchability factor that I feel like the first Godfather had a little bit more of. Now granted, I've only seen the first Godfather once and I've only seen this one once. Opinions could change, but as of right now, really awesome movie. One of the greatest movies of all time. It's just not one that I would rewatch anytime soon just because it is such an investment. But that's not really a gripe with the movie because movies should be an investment. It's just kind of something I noticed when I was watching it. So that's gonna do it for this video. I guess I'll watch The Godfather Part 3 soon. I've heard that one's terrible, but we'll see. So if you guys have seen The Godfather Part 2 or you just watched it with me, let me know what you think of it down in the comments. Again, emphasis on the pee break before because you're gonna have to pee in this movie. And if you liked this video, you can click subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.